Hey now, back with an autograph analysis, and we are at Charlie Gehringer. We talked about Lou Gehrig before, one of the most difficult. Now we're going to get to one of his contemporaries. He played on the first All-Star game with him on the American League team, and just as good as I won't compare the two in terms of player, but also a very good player. He wasn't elected to the Hall of Fame until his fifth ballot. But many consider Charlie Gehringer the greatest second baseman of the 30s and 40s with the Detroit Tigers. He lived to the ripe old age of 89, and he was signing probably to the ripe old age of 89. He passed away in 1993. Ron Kay talks about it in his book. I got it right here. Like when he first got into autographs was because he wrote to Charlie Gehringer. He went to his house, and Charlie was like really nice, signed some stuff for him. He said at the time he was averaging like 300 autograph signings per month mailed to his house. And he was a very responsive signer to the end. So he passed away right when I started getting into Hall of Fame autographs. So I never had a chance to meet him in person or anything like that. But again, he was around. He was around this area, is my understanding. So he was a very good signer, a very common signer, and not a very rare signer. So there's a lot of Charlie Gehringer autographs out there. So as we'll see in a moment, he's not very expensive given the time he played and how good he was because he lived so long, which is a good thing for collectors. So I've had at least 4 Charlie Gehringers in and out of my collection. I'm holding on to 3 right now. I had at least 2 others I no longer have. I gave away. So again, without any further ado, let's look at the autograph analysis of Mr. Charlie Gehringer. So again, we start the PSA database, and you can see right here, this is like a playing career Charlie Gehringer. And Ron thinks he has arguably the nicest autograph of any Hall of Famer. I don't know if that's true, but it's close. There's no question about it. He's a top 10. He took a lot of pride in his signature. I would say 99% of the autographs signed are either a Chaz, like you see right here, or even just a C. Gehringer. And we'll get to that in a moment, what the C. Gehringer looks like. So again, when he signed here, and this I'm going to guess is late 1930s, early 1940s, when he started his signatures, he signed, believe it or not, just C. Gehringer. He didn't even do the CHAS. You're only going to find Charles Gehringer autographs on official documents, which we'll get to in a second. You're going to see right here what you're looking for. Again, it's very tough to forge. We're looking for a 45-degree angle, and you're looking for, like, especially earlier in his life. When I say earlier, I'm talking up to the late 70s, early 80s, is smooth consistency, no major breaks. I mean, yeah, there's a break between the G and right here, and the G right here, and the C. That's fairly common. He did, again, earlier in life, connect the G to the E, which we'll get to in a little bit, and he signed all the way through. But most of the time, you're going to see with the Charlie Gehringer, he did break it. You're usually looking for you can see that beautiful C right here, as like a cliff note, they call it. And the C usually, this G with this little round thing right here, that wasn't as common, but usually it looped this way to the right and looped here to the left. And again, the autograph is usually on like a angle to right angle, as you can see. And usually you'll see the metal. He signs towards like the upper right. Again, this is dated in 1938. Again, still a beautiful signature. You can see it loops out, but not as much here. It loops in here. Again, the breaks between the C, the G, and the other G as well. Usually the R comes straight up. You're going to see later on the G comes straight down. He doesn't loop it around anymore. Probably because he was signing so many autographs. Again, another 1938 autograph. You can see, though, the G is sort of connected to the E. But again, the R comes straight up. You can see the breaks right here. You see the G looping in here. But again, now you can see he's signing, on an upward right angle. But it's still level, which is just amazing to me. So again, 1949. You can still see it's a little bit of up and to the right. Again, right now the G is breaking off. Break. And you can see the little loops out to the right here, into the left here. I mean, again, PSA has a ton of data. This is a later in life signature. You still want to see this break right here. Again, the break here, the break here. Now the G is coming straight down. The R is coming straight up. I mean, he's such a common autograph that people are not forging single name Charlie Gehringer autographs. We'll get to a couple other things later. Again, ballpoint pen. I guess it's just a mail-in signature up and to the right. For a great time period, when something was sent to his house, he was signing in this felt tip pen. It's really annoying, as you can see. I'm not the biggest fan of this medium. But again, I think it's still good, the autograph. This is probably a little bit later in life. Probably was easier for him to sign with a felt tip than a ballpoint at this point in his life. So again, this is later in life. Again, later in life right here, autograph. This is on a bat. And again, all mediums exist. Cards, bats. None of them are terribly expensive except for the odd inscription here and there, full name, which again, they do exist. They're just sort of mechanical man. The inscriptions, especially on baseballs, are more rare, but even on signed photos, not terribly rare. Again, here's the mechanical man later in life. You can see now the choppiness. Again, he lived to 89 years old. I don't know what you expected him to have a clean signature. But again, you can see this still the breaks here, the breaks here. He's not signing as much as in the upper right angle. Again, he ends it with a slant up. You can see with the man as well as the Gehringer. Again, felt tip, was we talked about it, which was this medium if you sent it to his house. He actually lived not too far from me, probably about 5-10 miles from me when he passed away. But again, right here, you can see the break right here. The break coming in is tougher to see now. The H starts more out, as you can see right here. I mean, you've seen enough Gehringer autographs. It's not rare at all. Again, something else to notice usually, like middle later in life, is the H started high right here, as you can see in the Chaz. The H comes up, doesn't start down, it starts up. But again, you see the break right here. You see the break out here. You see the G comes straight down, the R comes straight up. And that's the more common types of Gehringer autographs. Again, I could go through 1,000 of these. Again, the felt tip later in life is what you're seeing right here. This is a little bit more rare. This is probably signed a little bit earlier because the G's coming around. It's not coming straight down. Unfortunately, it's not dated. Again, now we're back to the felt tip on the Press Steel Great Moments cards. So, I mean, looking at eBay, there's just obviously there's a ton out there. He's signing 300 autographs a month. He's signing thousands a year for free. All of these are PSA certified. The only one on here that I saw and I went through that I'm not a fan of, I don't want to say it's fake, but I would definitely not buy it. We'll get to it in a second. It's towards the top here. Is this one right here. This G just looks way off with this. I know the G comes down right here. Like the R at the end here, the Gehringer should come straight up. It doesn't come straight up. The G has a lot of space. Usually that G is fairly compacted. You shouldn't see this much space in that G. So just everything about this says just like kind of run away from it. So, but again, other ones right here, this is that same ball we just talked about. But everything else, for the most part, that you see, even these full name autographs, which again are more, will command a higher premium, look good. But the G should end up here. I don't like I said, this G curling in like that. This ball is not authenticated. It's guaranteed to pass authentication, but for $375, I read, honestly, going back to eBay, and where my money, I would spend a couple bucks more and get like the full name autograph, like this one right here, which again, I think is good. So again, moving to photo bucket. This is my autograph. I actually had two. My first Charles Gehringer autograph was a full name endorsed check. I bought it because it was like 30 bucks. I never saw a full name endorsed check. Then all of a sudden, Heritage from the family started leaking out a couple of checks, and they all had the full Charles L. Gehringer on it, which I love. So now Ron talks about some fakes in his books, and I want to bring you to Heritage. And what Heritage says basically is not Heritage. What Ron says is you got to work out for the 1933 baseballs. So I want to show you two baseballs. And he says you got to, like, they're both dark and signed in ballpoint pen like this you're seeing right here. So you see this G right here with this really, these apparently were signed at the All-Star game the same day. And granted, no one's signature is exactly like every single day, but you look at this signature and you compare it with this signature, and you see how that G is like a huge gap right here, where this G is not as big, and this is more what I'd want to see, more rounded, not as like sharp edge right here. So it's my gut feeling that whoever signed this baseball did not sign this baseball. I'm saying one of them I think is not real. I guess that's what I'm saying. Again, that's my personal opinion. These were both came out of Heritage. It just feels like whoever signed this baseball did not sign this ball. Like the G comes through right here. The G ends open right here. Like you can see again, G closed here, right here, G open here. So I can't believe the characteristics of his signature changed that much on the same days. So one other Gehringer autograph I have, and I'll point it out here, and this is like the earliest autograph. This is from 1933. I don't know how well you can see it right here. I can take it out. And this was gifted to me, believe it or not. This is from a game. I could probably look it up, but it's definitely from 19. It's a scorecard. It's all pulled apart. It's either 1933 or 1934. The Tigers played the Yankees of all teams, and there were a couple autographs on the front cover. Oh yeah, and of course I just drop it. But anyways, long story short, like this is a C. Gehringer autograph right down here. I know I'm touching it with in pencil, and you can see it's unlike most Gehringer autographs. There's no Chaz. It's just a C. And this is like a very early autograph of his. The Gehringer is completely all one stroke. So again, you won't see that very often. I'm not saying it commands a premium or anything like that, but I just thought I'd show it off. So that's about it with Gehringer. I imagine if you're a Hall of Fame collector, you have them in your collection because 15, 20 bucks, maybe. Checks, a couple hundred. Signed baseballs, a couple hundred. I mean, there's a beautiful, of course, Nick's selling it. I'm not surprised he owns it. Stick ball, he wants 1,000. That's like beautifully inscribed. But we're going to move from him. I think I'm going to do Bob Gibson next, even though his name was Robert Gibson. And so I guess Josh Gibson would come first. Ryan treats it as Bob Gibson, so I'm going to follow the Bibles, everyone thinks, and do Bob Gibson next. So as always, keep collecting.